Yep, I know. That's the whole point. Welcome to the Headhunter range rebuild. Here are our current restrictions, and here are the 3 challenges we gotta overcome within those restrictions. If you want the full Headhunter range rebuild rules, you can find those in the description. But for now, let's jump straight in. Whoa, what's this? Why are we doing Archglacier, especially at this enrage where the loot is absolutely awful? Well, that's a good question. I'm only here because the Thok event's still live and I want to farm as many Reaper points as possible, and I think this is probably the most efficient way of doing it. I don't think we're quite ready for Zuk or Zamorak yet, so this is going to have to do for now. As always, we've got a little bit of prep work to do, but after that, we're going to be taking on our 3rd and final Headhunter challenge for Stage 1. Now you got something to look forward to, let's jump straight to the loot for the Glacier. Yeah, nothing special here, but what can you expect, really? Here's day number 2 with another 37 Reaper points in the bank. Somehow, even worse loot this time. You'll love to see it. We are back at the GE, just got one last piece of prep work to do before we run off to the Godwars Dungeon 2 challenge. I figured we should get ourselves some extreme prayer potions, just to save a bit of inventory space on that front. Maximizing the amount of food we can bring for this one's going to be absolutely huge, and really worth suffering through RuneScape's true hardest skilling boss, which is just training your skills in Lumbridge World 84. 3 portables just about make this tolerable sometimes. And to save even more inventory spots, we're going to speak to this guy in Prif Dinis and turn these potions into potion flasks. After around 6 hours of practicing the Godwars Dungeon 2 bosses, I think now is the time to take on our 3rd Headhunter challenge of Stage 1. But before we do that, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of some of the gear choices I've made and what I'm going to be bringing. Alright, first up, let's have a look at the armor and what I've got equipped. Just bringing the same gear as usual. Only thing you should be aware of is the Death Spore arrows in the quiver, which are great for dealing damage without the accuracy penalty of the full arrows. For our aura, we're going to go with Vampirism for more healing without taking up inventory space. Potions, just bringing the usuals. Only difference here is that I'm bringing Anti-Poison for Gregorovic and Extreme Prayers to save inventory space. For healing, also bringing the same as usual, except this time a lot more Saradon and Brew Flasks. Gotta maximize the healing per inventory space, you know? Here I've got Necromancy runes, so I can precast Darkness while I'm still at the bank. I'll switch these out for Sailfish later. Also bringing the Vuln Bombs for extra damage. And lastly, a Hellhound Familiar and some Scrolls for its special. I'm bringing the Scrolls because the Hellhound's passive's likely to kill it before the end of the 4 fights, and I'd rather that doesn't happen since I want to reduce damage coming in. I have also just noticed that I need to bring a Dark Bow as well. That's going to be my shield switch so I can use defenses during the fight. Alright, enough of that. Let's just jump straight into the challenge. Okay, so here we go with attempt number 1. Since I can fight these guys in any order I like, I'm going to go with Helwyr first. He might be one of the easiest of the 4, but he does have the most KO potential. I'd rather not lose a good run due to getting blown up from full health. That would suck.
A few moments later.
Yeah, attempt 1 isn't going well. I know I can do this without food, so I'm not going to eat. Unfortunately, I fumble another defensive, and that's a fail on the first attempt. We do get the kill though, that's good. Alright, here we go with attempt 2. Surely we'll do this one a bit better. I know how to use the shield switch now, right? Here we go. I'm going to hold off from dropping Death Swiftness straight away, see where the mushrooms spawn. Somehow, the mushrooms manage to spawn everywhere that I'm not, so I'm going to drop the Death Swiftness and start doing my damage rotation. Helwyr's first special comes out quicker than I expected, meaning I missed my Resonance Flick. That's not too much of a problem at the moment. I still got a fair bit of health since it was a low roll. I'm going to use Devotion here to prevent all the melee damage from this attack, especially since I can't really move anywhere being in the middle of these mushrooms that slow you down, and also don't want to use my movement abilities just yet. Helwyr's going to call his pets, and I'm going to passively put them down using some AoEs. Now, here we go saddling up for his dangerous special attack, which is the Mushroom Clouds. This one's pretty easy to dodge. Just got to stand north as far as you can, wait for the mushrooms to explode, then walk to the line of mushrooms that just exploded to avoid all damage. That's the first rotation done. Then he's going to use his first spec again, which is summoning the mushrooms. Here's a really cool Helwyr tech that I randomly learned while practicing here. Once the final line of mushrooms explodes, I'm going to use a tick dive to force myself to the furthest north part of the arena and avoid the mushrooms in the same move. Since we're out of his melee distance, that's going to force him to use a special attack straight away. And since we're standing so far north, he can't hit us with it, and we can just ignore it and keep doing damage. Now here's the part you got to be careful of. As soon as he's done that slash, you got to run back into melee distance. This means that he'll start doing his auto attacks again, which buys you more time to set up for his flurry attack, which will do damage at this range. Now that we know the mechanics, all we got to do is rinse and repeat that, and we can bring him down without eating any food this time. In theory at least. Let's see how that goes. Assuming we don't choke in these mushrooms, we should be in the clear here. Boom, that's it. Hard mode Helwyr crossed off, and no food used as well. Let's go. We're doing Vindicta and Gorvac second, mainly because she's the longest fight and also has a lot of run ending potential. Boasting 3 long phases and a lot of melee damage output, she can become quite problematic if I'm not careful. First phase is pretty straightforward, just some slow melee attacks that I can soul split flick to keep my health topped off. And then she summons Gorvac to put down a line of fire that does some magic damage. If I miss a soul split flick, I can take up to 4,000 damage, so I've got to be real careful here. I'm just going to focus on doing some damage and bringing her down to a second phase. Here we go with phase 2, where things change quite drastically. It's going to have an attack pattern here, which is melee, big range hit, then melee. Ideally, we want to use prayers for the melee hit, and then shield swap resonance for the range attack, just like I do here. These range attacks can hit about 5,000, so they'll keep your health nice and high. After the attack pattern, she's going to jump in the air, put down a line of fire, and then do the exact same thing again. At this point in the phase, there isn't too much left to worry about. The only thing that's going to change is my resonance is on cooldown for the range hit. I'm going to use a mix of debilitate and just praying range if my health's high. Here we are moving on to phase 3, pulling off a resonance flick for a 4.3k heal. You're going to need every single one of those life points because this is where shit gets real. Now we've dropped our life points to 0, this is where phase 3 starts. Mechanically, not much is going on here. She's just going to attack with melee and then use these fire attacks as she's been the entire fight. The problem is her melee attacks now hit 4000s every 2 ticks. This high attack speed means she puts out a lot of DPM, and she's also really hard to soul split flick properly. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there either. You can also click on her while she's flying above you, putting the fire down, so that's a fun mechanic. And my accuracy is absolutely awful at the moment. What could possibly be going on? If you're really observant, you might have noticed that I've done something wrong in this fight, and I'm still doing it wrong right now. I'll give you a few seconds to figure it out before I tell you. Yep, that's it. I didn't have decimation on this entire time. That mistake's dragged this fight out for an unnecessary 2 minutes. Fortunately, we haven't used too much food though. I think we still got this in the bag. Come on, it's so close. I'm not eating any food this late in the fight. I'm going to die before I do that. There we go. That's Vindicta crossed off. Next up, Gregorovic. Alright, so here we go. Need to make sure we're anti-poisoned up here. Pray range, and I'm going to drop the highest DPM BoLG rotation I can before his mechanics kick in. Overall, his mechanics aren't too dangerous. He's just going to summon a lot of things that you can kill with AoE attacks. The only issue with that is these summons can do a fair bit of damage. You can counteract that by using devotion and killing them for the extra timer on it. Also, don't let him get into melee range. He can do a fair bit of damage there if you're not praying. And kill these ghosts before he eats them. That'll ruin your day otherwise. Here we see his first shadow spawn. We're not going to worry too much. We're just going to pop devotion and then use them to extend the timer. Nice and easy. And also dodge these daggers. That's not a fun time either. That's about it for hard mode, Greg. We're just going to rush him down to 0 HP and then we'll go from there. Here's a prime example of why you got to watch those melee attacks. He is absolutely ripping through me here with a fast attack speed. Now's a perfect time to put that tick eating that we learned in the last episode to the test. Once he hits 0 HP, he's going to enter his second phase and turn you into a Skyrim Drogo, just like him. As far as I'm aware, the only mechanic that you need to worry about here is not dying of boredom. But if you really want to sweat it, you can do what I'm doing, try and line up the glaive so it ricochets between his friends. And that's it. We're basically just going to play RuneScape 2 for the next 30 seconds until Greg can become attackable again. Let's be honest, no one wanted to see that. I'll do everyone a favor and skip to the interesting part. How's that sound? Nice and easy, we're just going to run him back down to 0 HP again. Fortunately, not using much food so far as well. Even better. He's super low, we got heaps of health, we got this in the bag, let's go. That's it, Gregorovic crossed off. Once again, forgot to use Desolation for half the fight, but it shouldn't matter, we got tons of food for the Furies, let's hope for the best. Here we go, the last of the 4 hard mode Godwars Dungeon 2 bosses, Twin Furies. They're the easiest of the 4 by an absolute mile, they have basically no KO potential, and the only real difference from the normal fight is these orbs that bounce around and do basically no damage anyway, so I'm hardly even going to pay attention to them. I've just dodged the first mechanic by strafing around the Death Swiftness to avoid those charges, and somehow rolled the worst luck ever by taking about 3 bombs straight to the face. It's okay because I'm soul split healing so much health right now, this is awesome. Here we go with the second mechanic. Just going to casually stroll under the other Fury and continue to DPS the other one. Simple as that. Here we go with the third mechanic. I was a little bit of a silly goose and decided I want to stand in the corner and get burned for 3000 damage instead of just standing in the middle and being safe. That's okay. I'm going to soul split for free while that bomb bar charges. DPS till the absolute last second I can here and run out into the fire to avoid the big bomb that would KO me here. There we go, dodging the bomb with no dramas. I'm just going to DPS race the rest of the fight. Hopefully I can close it off before the blue bomb spawns. We got to deal with another new mechanic. There's the blue bomb spawn. You can actually jump under that one to do damage to the Furies, which I'm going to do because I have no idea how much health they've got left. That blue bomb's going to hit some serious damage and close off our Headhunter Stage 1 in style with all Godwars Dungeon 2 bosses on hard mode without banking. Now you're probably wondering, what happens now? We finished Stage 1. Well, I'm glad you asked, because I'm just going to take off some of the restrictions, add harder challenges, and do it all over again. I hope you're ready for the next one. We're going to get some real gear and fight some real bosses. How does that sound for you? Thanks for watching the Headhunter Range Rebuild Stage 1. I just want to say that I've been absolutely blown away by the response to the Headhunter videos so far. And I want to say a special thank you to everyone that's viewed, commented, and subscribed. It really means a lot, and I've got some awesome content coming your way really soon. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next episode where we're going to be kicking off Headhunter Stage 2.